You really think LeBron's going to be done in a couple of days?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll happen. Look, yes. You're shaking your head. No, the news never holds. June. Look, Woj is going to be sitting here on his phone and his burner phone, not burner accounts, burner phone. He's going to be clicking them both, and we'll be on at midnight that night, and news will be breaking. I bet you.
Steak dinner.
Fine. You name the place.
You got it.
All right, so Amin Elhassan joins us. Now, here's the question. You said July 1st, July 2nd. I said Woj is going to be sitting here, and I was right and you were right. So I'm not trying to get out of the steak dinner. Do I owe you a steak?
You said midnight July 1.
Yeah.
Right now, we're talking midnight July 2.
Yeah.
Let's say. I want to say right now, I'm looking at the clock. I'm sorry.
It happened, put it this way, it happened on July 1st. All right, I'll buy you the steak, but I get to pick the place. Miami Prime 112 will make it a worthwhile evening. Deal?
Absolutely. I was going to go with Ruth's Chris, but yeah, Prime 112 works in me.
All right, that's my spot. So that's where we'll meet. All right, we'll get the dinner plans sorted out off the air. I just want to know your reaction to what the Lakers become. We don't know what they'll end up with, but right now, your reaction to what they are.
What they are is a team that a lot of Western Conference teams right now are smacking themselves in the head. They thought they were going to have a good year, and now you just dropped a giant in the middle of the conference. I don't think they're on the same level as the Rockets or the Warriors as it stands today with this current collection of players. But they're just as good as anyone else in the conference. And regardless of whether we're talking about a 3 seed or a 6 seed, either way, we're talking about a team that nobody wants to see in a playoff series. Just as constituted. We're not talking about Kawhi Leonard being a part of this. We're not talking about maybe DeMarcus Cousins coming in and be a part of this. We're just talking about the Lakers that are there today, the ones that are incumbent, and then now the additions of guys like JaVale McGee and Lance Stevenson. That's a really good team in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out though in the grand scheme what they're going to be able to do, because it's way more complicated. Bobby Marks has explained this. Way more complicated than just saying, "Oh, go get Kawhi." You got to make the math work. So I'm trying to figure out in the short term who they'll be versus maybe they'll have to sit on some money and wait till next summer to become what they're really going to be. Do you think that that's ultimately what they'll have to settle for, so to speak?
I think, Scott, when you talk about that 4-year deal, right, this isn't the deals that he did in Cleveland where we're talking about 1+1s and all this kind of very short-term nature, putting an expectation on his ownership and his front office. You've got to make stuff happen immediately. My window is now. We talk about a 4-year deal that gives a little bit of breathing room, that gives Magic and Rob Pelinka time to make things happen the right way as opposed to overpaying or having to be reactionary, quite frankly.
Okay.
Now, that factors in, especially as we know that the Spurs aren't necessarily rushing to deal with them, but we know now that there's not going to be a whole pressure to get a deal done immediately.
All right, you've been patient hanging out all night. I appreciate it. Before I let you go, one word. The favorites in the East now, Sixers or Celtics? Who's the favorite?
Sixers.
All right, good enough. Prime 112, Miami, we'll sort out the details. I'll have my people get it. Your people will sort it out.
It sounds good, Scott.
Amin Elhassan in Los Angeles. Thank you, partner. I don't have people. I'm my own people. Here are the people that are left. I mean, who's out there? You got Isaiah Thomas, J.J. Redick, Tyreek Evans, Derek Favors, Boogie Cousins, among others who had productive seasons last year. When healthy, they're still out there. Occupies a rare, if not completely unique place in all of sports. He is that good and he wields that much power. At this stage of his career and his life, the choices are his to make. And maybe it's as simple as wanting to be in Brentwood, where it's nice every day, with a chance to restore the luster to a legendary franchise and pick the brain of an NBA legend who's become a titan of industry in Magic Johnson. LeBron James' presser will provide him the opportunity to provide us with some clarity about how he arrived here in Los Angeles. But here we are. LeBron James is a Los Angeles Laker for what ought to occupy the final act of his NBA story. Unlike Cleveland, where he was the story and helped them win their one title, the Lakers have got 16 of them, and they've got so many legends. Wilt and West and Magic and Kareem and Shaq and Kobe. And I'm being real stingy here because there are so many more. It's been 5 years since the Lakers even made the playoffs. LeBron's been to 8 finals in a row. If it's going to be 9, who are they adding? Because Lance Stevenson and JaVale McGee probably aren't enough to get it done. Adrian Wojnarowski joins us now, and Woj, what was the key to make this happen?
Magic Johnson in the big seat in L.A. and for LeBron to have, when he went to Miami, I mean, he was drawn to Pat Riley. I needed to learn how to win. I needed to learn how to be part of a championship culture pedigree. That mattered a lot to him, and Eric Spoelstra, gained his respect as head coach. They won 2 titles together. But I think Magic in that big seat in L.A., not just what Magic represents as a player, one of the greats all time, synonymous with the Laker uniform, but what he has done as an entrepreneur. He is this gold standard for the great athlete becoming a mogul. And those are the aspirations LeBron James has, and he started down that path. And now he takes all of that to Hollywood, to that market. The Lakers aren't just a big NBA franchise, a big American franchise. They're a global brand. And you put that together with LeBron James, it's bigger than whether he's just got JaVale McGee and Lance Stevenson coming in here in free agency.
I mentioned a moment ago Bobby Marks will come by, and that's the nuts and bolts of what he does, helping us understand how the math works. But it doesn't work for them to just go get Kawhi, if the Spurs would even be willing to work with him. Just how difficult is it going to be for them to add another significant piece?
Well, much more difficult after the Caldwell-Pope deal today, $12 million into the cap. Bobby will go through all that. But it does become more difficult to get Kawhi Leonard. And what I'm told is Kawhi Leonard remains focused on wanting to get to the Lakers, not just Los Angeles, but the Lakers. And he can do that in free agency next summer. And LeBron is signed long term. They last year took for granted with Paul George that he would come in free agency this year. They didn't make a big offer to the Pacers. He goes to Oklahoma City. He stays. What if Kawhi Leonard gets traded to Philly or Boston, loves his time there, wins big, gets to the finals? Does he maybe not get to free agency next year? But now it's a difficult pathway. The Spurs will trade Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers, but they're going to do it for a big package. And the pieces of that package became more difficult with the moves the Lakers made today.
You used the word seismic once this news broke. I mean, SportsCenter's been on. And Zuba Mehedi, by the way, give the man a raise. The man, I think he was on for like 3 straight hours and didn't come up for air. Seismic, I get it. When you talk to everybody around the league, this was the presumed outcome when we spoke last night at midnight. But what was the reaction to the reality?
I think even seeing LeBron up there in the uniform, I think it takes people's breath away because the Lakers are the sleeping giant of the league. And when it's right there, when it's being run right, everyone should want to go there and play. There's no better place to play. And they're going to be able to attract players there. And I had one general manager in the East say to me tonight, like, the league is going to start pushing again for that 1 through 16 playoff seeding because the West, look at the talent drained from East to West the last few years. Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and now LeBron. Boston and Philly are set up, and Toronto's still very good. But it's LeBron in that arena, wearing that uniform. For the league itself, it makes it all bigger.
It really is. It really is. I'm with you with the jersey, and I can look over my shoulder and see it. It was one thing to talk about it, but now you start going, okay, that's where he's gonna be in those Sunday whites, right? I mean, that's a clean look, and he looks good in any jersey he's wearing.
Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain all went east to west and won championships in L.A.
Well, appreciate the time.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, we welcome in Brian Windhorst now, and Brian, your reaction last night told the story. You said you weren't optimistic about this. So in Cleveland, where they could see it coming, the reality for them is taken how?
They've known this is coming. This was a respected secret because those of us in the media, we knew we didn't want to be wrong and we wanted to give LeBron his space. But we've known for days. The Cavs have had a pretty good idea for days. The Lakers have had a pretty good idea for days. Those close to LeBron have known for days. It was just a matter of they had to execute the meeting that they did, that had to go well with Magic. It did go well, which of course it did. Ron doesn't have a perfect basketball fit to go to, Scott. So it really came down to where can I go to have the biggest impact. He's not going to beat the LA. He's not going to beat the Golden State Warriors with what the Cavs had, and so he's probably not going to beat them with this particular Lakers team with what he has. But all the ancillary parts that come along with being a Laker, is what attracted him to it. And he got more and more focused on it over the last few weeks. He's been opening this window for the last 3 years as he and his close friends and his business partners moved to Los Angeles. Within the last 3 years, Maverick Carter, his business manager, Rich Paul, his agent, and he himself have bought homes here. So he's been opening this door for a while, and the time was right for him to come through it. And what I would say to Cavs fans, Scott, is that the 2016 championship was a glorious moment. I think they should hang on and embrace it and realize what kind of, seminal, thing that happened for that city, and that they should be thinking about that tonight. I know it's in the past, but that doesn't make it any less special. And I think that LeBron knows that this will be his last act. He didn't really plan on this, but he did give Cleveland what he promised, and now he's going to try to do something special here in L.A.
You're a basketball guy. I wonder if you've done what me and Steve and our whole group's been doing tonight. We're looking at the Lakers as currently constructed as a puzzle, and I'm trying to figure out what this pieces make, because it feels like they got a lot of the same pieces, and I don't know what it currently makes.
Well, Lakers are going to get an A because they got LeBron James in their offseason.
Sure.
But in my opinion, they overpaid for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. In my opinion, they overpaid for Lance Stevenson. I don't know who was bidding at that level. And Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, none of them are great three-point shooters. Caldwell-Pope is okay. Now, he's a good defensive player. He's a guy that you want with LeBron. But you need shooting around him. And Lance Stevenson shot 29% from three-point range last year. And Julius Randle, who they still have on the board to potentially keep, not an outside shooter. So they're going to need to assemble a team around him that can make an outside shot. That's the design of the entire team, of what we know about being LeBron. You got to have outside shooting. So I'm a little bit loath to judge them because they are in the middle of putting this puzzle together. But they're following transactions that they have. They kind of need some guys who can put it in from the outside.
All right. One last programming note for you I realize you have stuff to do, but whatever you do, watch the rest of the show, because you ran your mouth and lipped off at me last night, and we got some stuff for you in the golf, all right?
I did it out of love, Scott,
right.
and I just want to make your show better, and I hopefully was able to do that.
Well, I love you, which is why we got your boy in the highlight, all right? I know you had a great week, so I just want you to know you talk, I listen. Thank you.
700 grand.
There you,
700
how
grand
about
he made today.
Big week.
LeBron made 150. He made 700 grand. It's 150 million, 700 grand. It's not bad.
So you just put it in a pile with the rest. Just put it with the rest. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, man.
I've been on TV all night, and I got no overtime.
All right, stop talking. All right, still to come. Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump, with reaction to this. Bobby Marks as well, a guy that's as good as anybody we've got at helping us understand how the math adds up or does not. And what else have we got? Well, there's a lot going on. I said it was quite a candidate. Getting swept by Golden State. They competed, could have won / should have won at least one game, but didn't win 1 or 3. Game 4, they got smoked, and that's how it ends in Cleveland. Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump. That's always must watch, and you all have been having a blast with this free agency as we have here. And obviously Monday, I believe Kobe will be joining. I don't know if that's in stone yet, but we'll see. Your reaction and the reaction from people around the league to LeBron to LA has been what?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because the past few days, one of the big storylines about the Lakers have been, ooh, they better go trade for Kawhi because we don't know if Paul George is coming, and LeBron, he doesn't want to come if there's not another big star. He can come with him. And part of that, by the way, is a piggyback on this idea that if LeBron was going to leave Cleveland, part of the reason he would be leaving, right, is the perception that he'd be trying to win a championship somewhere else, that he thinks that place he would be going to, he'd have a better shot at winning the title than he did with the roster he had in Cleveland. And it's funny, as those ideas surfaced over the recent days, I got a lot of pushback from the guys in the LeBron group saying, wait a minute, that may be what the Lakers and Spurs think, that Kawhi is an intrinsic part of this deal, but that's not what LeBron thinks. LeBron is his own guy. He's making this choice on his own terms. And his thinking going into this is kind of threefold here, Scott. One issue is whether the Lakers have the championship team right now when he walks in the door. He has faith in Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss that they can build around him. And he will have a voice, by the way, in how they build around him. And we saw that with the length of contract that he signed. A 4-year deal, last year as a player option. He never signed that long a deal when he returned to the Cavaliers this last time. That shows a faith in the organization. They can build that championship team. Another phase of this is his family. You know, he talked for the last year about, hey, my family's going to be a big part of this. A lot of people assumed, oh, the family's going to want to stay in Cleveland. His wife, Savannah, also from Akron, Ohio. Kids have grown up there. Well, guess what? They have a house here in Los Angeles. In fact, they have 2 homes. They're moving from one to the other. And there are great basketball opportunities for LeBron James Jr. here in Southern California. We heard the rumors a week or 2 ago from Gary Payton that Bronny would play for Sierra Canyon High School. Guess who plays for Sierra Canyon High School? Scottie Pippen Jr. plays for Sierra Canyon. Kenny Martin Jr. plays for Sierra Canyon. We have Scottie Pippen on the jump all the time, Scott, and he wouldn't knock down that Gary Payton rumor. He said, can't knock it down. So we had that as a little bit of a clue. And then the third idea with LeBron's thinking here is this idea of, hey, going to play for a franchise like the Los Angeles Lakers. The prestige there, the idea that he could come there and build something. And it is fascinating that after all of this, quote, ring-chasing super team sort of experience the NBA has had in recent years, it started with Miami and the Heat and the way they put that squad together and Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. We had Paul George say, I want to stay in Oklahoma City, even if this isn't a slam dunk to win a title.
Right.
We have LeBron saying, I'm willing to go to the Lakers by myself. It's a different era in the NBA.
Rachel, this is someone you know very well, and I have made this comment the last couple of nights, very, very far removed. I don't know the man well at all outside of shooting a commercial and having him on occasion here on the show. I sense that there's this clarity that comes from being above the fray, from being above the concern about how you're perceived and what people on our show and your show and morning shows say about him, and being a father and seeing the world through the eyes of Bronny and his boys and his children, his daughter as well. You know him. Do you sense that there's clarity where there wasn't before as it relates to making a decision about where he's going to play?
Absolutely. There's no question about that, Scott. And the fact that this isn't going to be a transition phase of his career. He is signing to be in Los Angeles, in effect, from the age of, he's turning 34 at the end of this year to a time where he'd be turning 38 years old. That is clearly the end of his NBA career, and then maybe last a little bit longer if he wants to play in the same league as LeBron James Jr. We'll get to that. But the idea that he knows he's not going to be the best player in the NBA forever, that could have been decided for him if he had stayed in Cleveland. Maybe he would have been knocked out of those finals appearances in the East. He's taking control of that narrative now. He knows by going to the Lakers, probably won't make the finals this coming year. That streak is going to end. But that streak is ending on his terms, his way. That is very interesting to me, and yet another thing LeBron has been able to pull off in this crazy career he's had.
And I'm sure you'll be sitting down face-to-face with him. It won't be hard to track down. He's right there in the same town as you. We look forward to hearing that conversation when it comes to it, and we appreciate the chat as always tonight. Look forward to watching you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
You got it. That's Rachel Nichols. So what kind of impact are you talking about when LeBron James joins your squad? Well, as a rookie, we were talking about a kid, but he was a kid that helped Cleveland win 35 after they were 17-65 the season before. He goes to South Beach, took the talents there, of course, led the Heat to the NBA Finals after they were 58-24, an 11-win improvement over the Miami team that lost in round 1 of the playoffs the year before. When he went back to Cleveland, they improved by 20 wins over the record before. And am I supposed to go over there to join Bobby? Oh. Well, I'm going to walk over here. Bobby Marks is here. Sorry, I would have put... See, I'm going to let you guys in on a little TV secret. You got places to put your microphones, and I would have done this far more elegantly if I knew I was going to be standing up here letting you all get the full inventory of your guy here. See, it's a little sloppy. Yeah, we look alike enough. Okay, so everybody out there that's just saying, hey, go get Kawhi, and that's fun to say on Twitter because you can just say anything. How hard is it going to be for the Lakers to bring somebody of that caliber in salary-wise?
Extremely hard, and we can walk you through.
Please do.
Right now, the Lakers are at $47.6 million. This is before all the transactions today, and we are leaving Luol Deng's $18 million on the cap. We are not stretching it over over 5 years to reduce his number. We are leaving Julius Randle's $12.4 million there. And when we put James over, we slide him in. That goes down to $12.8 million. So you've got a little bit of a room. They agreed to sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, $12 million for 1 year. When we put KCP in, we had him projected at $9 million. Okay. So we got a little bit of a bump there. We put KCP in. That leaves you at $1.7 million in room. What they're going to do is they're going to use that room first. They've got a couple second rounders. Steve Mihalik from Kansas, who they drafted, they're going to probably sign him to using a little bit of that room. Now here's the thing. Now you agree to a term with Lance Stevenson,
right.
the 4.4 room mid-level exception. We can put Lance in here. We had him projected at $1.5 million.
Okay.
So he is getting the $4.5 million room mid-level here.
Born ready, Steve.
Always.
Okay, so now we're in the red.
Now we're in the red, but you can use the room mid-level and exceed the cap. That is part of the rule. You don't have to be under the cap to use that. Now we're going to add
JaVale McGee.
Now we're going to add JaVale McGee to the minimum. You can use the minimum exception. JaVale McGee, $1.5 million. You can use it and exceed the cap. And now this is your Laker team right now. LeBron, Luol Deng, Julius Randle still on the roster. And
when you were with us earlier tonight and you were talking me through this and you were explaining how if they were going to deal with the Spurs, right, and they could have moved a couple of firsts and some attractive pieces, but that can't be done now. Why?
It's going to be extremely difficult. Never say never, but this is going to be a hard path. Luol Deng, that's non-negotiable for San Antonio unless you want to throw in 3 first-round picks, and I don't think the Lakers are willing to do that. Julius Randle, you have that hold there. That is counting against the cap. And when you look at it, when we scroll through here, you have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Mo Wagner, who you just signed. You can't trade him for 30 days.
Who's going to be very attractive, had a great rookie season.
Josh Hart. You can combine all those, and that gets you to $18 million. But you basically have to clear out all your young players here.
So you have to get rid of everybody.
You got to get rid of everybody because you are not a team under the cap right now.
And you'd have to do the same thing to get Boogie Cousins.
Boogie Cousins is unrealistic.
Okay, so everybody out there that's saying that's what you want to do, you can't do it. So you have to find a different path.
You will.
Okay, or wait till next summer.
Well, when you have a max salary slot.
There you go. All right. See? Bobby, thank you. I used the word last night, foregone conclusion. That made some Cavs fans angry, but sorry, it's kind of the way it was trending, and that's the way it went. 4 years, 153.3 for the Lakers. That's a longer term than he'd been agreeing to. The fans in Los Angeles, obviously, I see what we're doing. And all you folks out there, NBA fans that can't stand Laker fans, and you didn't enjoy this 5-year period of time when they stunk, you needed to enjoy it more because it's over. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, make it a double. Dave McMenamin joins us now. And, Dave, you know, LA's the party and Cleveland's going to have to try to make sense of what happens next. And when he leaves, man, it rarely is a pretty picture. What does the picture look like?
There's mixed emotions here. He delivered on a promise to win a championship for the city of Cleveland, the city where he grew up about 40 miles south of in Akron, Ohio. Came back in the prime of his career, gave 4 years of that prime back to the Cavs after the Cavs owner really lit him on fire when he left in 2010. And Cavs fans will forever have that moment in 2016. Now, there is a degree of disappointment, sadness, shock, mostly centered around the fact that he signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers, because that's a commitment he never gave to the Cavs the second time around. It was a 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Then it was another 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Then they win the championship, and what did that buy the Cavs in loyalty? Oh, a 2-year deal. And then he opted out, and now he's going to Los Angeles. So I think there's some hand-wringing around the fact that, and had he managed this differently, maybe it could have looked differently. Maybe we could have added more championships to this time frame, but ultimately, it's a feeling of appreciation for what LeBron brought over these last 4 years.
And all of what you're saying makes sense. I mean, sure, you have that moment in time that he came back to do what he did. I'd say that you have to look at that time and say they got to the finals every single year, and they existed during the time a super team was created. So sure, be happy about that. And as far as the 1-year contract deal goes, players covet flexibility and being nimble now more than anything else. I guess what I'm asking, Dave, is just from the Cavaliers' perspective, he's gone. So what they have now is a bunch of salary committed to a team that wasn't good enough with him, and now they don't have him. So what do they have?
Yeah, and the ultimate irony, of course, is they made those deals in February with the Lakers to acquire Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson, which opened up the cap space for the Lakers to go out and sign LeBron James, which is kind of wild to wrap your head around. But what they look at was one. It started last summer. It started when they traded Kyrie Irving. They coveted a young asset. They almost traded for Josh Jackson, the Phoenix Suns. They ultimately traded for the number 8, or the Brooklyn first-round pick that ended up being number 8 pick. They got Colin Sexton. And Kobe Altman said last week, we are now in the player development business. And that means that Colin Sexton is a top priority. Jordan Clarkson, they hope to be able to get Rodney Hood back. They extended him a qualifying offer. Larry Nance Jr., Jetty Osman, who they signed last summer, rather than going after a veteran like Jamal Crawford, and Ante Zizic. And, all those names, all the games of those guys combined right now, you don't think is much. But if the Cavs coaching staff can get more out of them, that's their best path for success. Now, Kobe Altman has said before that his idol when it comes to being a GM is Sam Presti in OKC. And that's kind of the ethos of that organization where, it's easy to look now and say KD and James Harden and Russ Westbrook were all amazing picks, but partially they're amazing picks because the organization allowed them to reach their full potential. That's what the Cavs want to do now, and it could be a very long process before we see them back, even as a playoff contender, quite frankly.
All Altman has to do is just draft 3 guys that all win MVPs, and everything should work out just fine from here, Dave. Thanks so much for being with us, man. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so the new odds from our friends at the Westgate in Las Vegas. Obviously, the Warriors are massive favorites and will continue to be as long as they've got who they've got. But the Lakers are now at the same odds as the Celtics and slightly better odds than the Rockets. And then you got the Sixers there at 14-1. Cleveland, 500.